Do you remember when blogging was all about ranking on Google? Those days are kind of gone. SEO isn't the lifeblood of blogging anymore, and really like that's good news for your firm. Your blog can now be so much more than just an SEO engine. It should really be a hub for your ideas. It should be a driver of trust and then an engine really behind your firm growth. So today we're going to talk about how to make your blog a little bit more of a cornerstone of your go-to-market strategy for your CAS practice in 2025. We want to redefine what blogging looks like for accounting, for CAS practices, because it's no longer about gaming the SEO engine or chasing search rankings. It's about how to connect everything together in your go-to-market rhythm in order to create a little bit more momentum for your firm moving forward in an era that's dominated by social media and algorithms. So we want to dive in just by talking about the myth of the dying blog. Like when you think about the term blog, it feels a little outdated, right? I think that's a misconception that exists because blogging has really just evolved. It's really less about SEO, it's more about connecting with the audience, but I think it still really matters. What the beauty of a blog entails is that you own it. It's your space to do whatever you want with, unlike social media that's a little bit more controlled by an algorithm. There's this algorithmic interference that exists on social media that you have no control over whatsoever. So by nature of creating an environment that you have control over, that you can manage and push and pull your audience in directions that you want them to go, you're creating something that can evolve over time and work really well with the algorithms of social media with an intent to ultimately weave all these things together. You really want your blog to be a place where you can demonstrate expertise, you can demonstrate adaptability through thought leadership, and act as kind of an online catalog of your ideas, your services, your case studies, your clients. There's a lot of ways that you can engage really intelligently with a blog in 2025. One of the keys here, I think, is really just focusing on narrative, focusing on storytelling. Too often, what we do in blog form is we take this in-depth technical topic and we try to break it down via blog. There's a really easy way to understand R&D tax credits. Instead, I think what's more effective in an algorithmic environment that you can leverage blog content that you control to post on, you should be telling a story. So instead of saying, here's the new update on the regulation of R&D tax credits, you should say, here's how we helped a startup save $70,000 through our R&D services. That then puts into context who you're serving, the services that you're providing, and then an outcome that you're generating for them. So if you can start to connect these dots in a way that you control, you now have the ability to take this narrative and publish it to the external world and let the algorithm do its thing. This works really well for niched firms, right? Like if you're speaking to R&D tax credit studies for heavy bioscience-based companies, that's going to hit on the algorithm side, and then you can control how they engage with that content on your blog. Ultimately, we're trying to create a hub. The blog should be kind of the hub of your content strategy that you're pushing people back to. You're linking back to it in every piece of external content, be it on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or maybe it's Instagram or Twitter threads. I think there's many varieties in which you can push people back to your blog and ultimately an easy to use website that people want to discover more of. But like you're driving traffic back to your site without a traditional SEO model. So you're using social media as a vehicle. You're sharing posts externally, you're capturing them on your website, and then hopefully you've got a strategy to push and pull them the directions that make the most sense on your website. A couple other ways to do this is just simply by leveraging a newsletter. Maybe you've got an email campaign or a newsletter that you're publishing on a weekly or monthly basis. Take the content that you're putting in the blog and then port it over to the newsletter for that audience. Re-summarize it, capture the essence of the blog in a newsletter format, and then again push them back to your website. Another way to do this without really focusing on the SEO side is just partnering with complementary businesses, partnering with vendors to share content, to cross-promote. There's always going to be somebody else out there that serves your audience that really wants to reach them as well. And so if you could do those things in tandem, you're really building up both sides of the equation, driving backlinks, improving SEO, and getting people to your website. But all of this is done without a specific SEO strategy. It's about helping people, leveraging the algorithm, and partnering with others that do complementary things. So how do we get started? We're sitting here listening to this as accountants, as CPAs, as firm runners, and it's like, man, I don't have the time. I'm not a writer. How do I get started here? Really, we're really simplifying this to like short, thoughtful posts. We don't have to have a 1,200 word article, 400 to 600 words, really short and sweet to start. Let's do quick financial tips, R&D tax credits, what you need to know for 2025 filing season, or maybe it's a client success story. You can take questions that are happening on every single day basis and turn that into content for your page. So if we're starting small, 400 to 600 words, an easy way to dive into this is just batch write. So dedicate one day a month to start drafting multiple posts. Look externally, look at repurposing content that maybe you've already created on social media, maybe a podcast, maybe on other newsletters. You can start to repurpose some of that stuff into more of a long form blog. But you got to overcome the excuse of I don't have time, I'm not a writer, it's too hard to start, because really it doesn't need to be that hard. You can use tools like Grammarly, you can use tools like Jasper or even ChatGPT to help you get started on that. But I would be very cautious on leaning that direction, because now you've seen Google start to notate what is AI generated content versus what is not. So don't try to game the system there. I think authenticity of your voice and connection to your brand is probably one of the most important things you can do here, even if it's not the most grammatically correct, or it's not the way in which an agency would write the content, because ultimately it's coming from your voice that should match your brand, your ethos. And I think there's a lot of value in that. There should be a lot of value in what makes you you. And so if you're able to transform that into words, have somebody review it, have somebody look at it to say, hey, yeah, this does hit the mark. It does send the message that you're trying to send. But the whole point is you can start small. You can carve out a day a month with a goal to generate 4 pieces of content over the next 30 days, 400 words each. That should be very achievable. But you have to understand, like, this is a long game. We're creating an investment here into the future of your firm. This isn't an immediate ROI thing. It's about building relationships, it's building trust with your brand, with your firm as a domain expert in the industry that you serve. Over time, the blog may actually open doors to different opportunities and collaborations and different ways of working with folks that you may not have thought of prior to starting to this blog. We're really just planting seeds for that future opportunity, for that future growth. If you have the opportunity to just simply take the questions that you get on a daily basis from your clients and turn those questions into blogs, the next time that somebody asks you that same question, you can just say, hey, I've actually written a blog about that. Why don't I send you that link in a follow-up message after this conversation? And bang, you've already created social credibility. You've created an ease in answering a question, and you pointed people back to the resource, to your website, to again, close that loop of keeping people in your ecosystem, in your environment, that are all pushing you forward as that thought leader that helps to solve those problems. So if you can start by addressing those common client questions that you get, really good start. If you can set a goal to start to publish once a week, or maybe once a month even, totally fine. Let's just start to create something out there that, again, you have control over, and then hopefully you can let the social algorithms do their thing to help promote that in the industry that you serve. Blogging isn't dead, I can assure you of that. The way in which it works with SEO, the way in which it'll work with AI search, it will be evolving over time, but if you continue to stay true to helping other people, providing valuable content, answering questions that you get, you will create a really good basis for your firm go-to-market strategy in 2025. I hope that's helpful. Till next time.